The rear suspension on the zero-turn mower must be adjusted to accommodate the additional weight of the collection system. Shock the front wheels of the unit to prevent the machine from rolling. Raise the rear of the machine and secure it with jack stands positioned under the bumper of the unit. Depending on the unit, position the jack under the suspension cradle or cross-member that ties the suspension arms together, and slowly raise the rear suspension to relieve the pressure on the upper shock mounting bolts. This will require small adjustments to the position of the jack. The shock should move freely on the mounting belt when the pressure is relieved. Loosen and remove the upper shock mounting hardware and pivot the shock to the position that orients the shock most vertically. Adjust the jack to align the shock assembly to the shock mounting hole. Reinstall the upper shock mounting hardware and tighten it securely. Repeat this process for both sides of the mower. Remove the jack stands from under the machine. Remove the jack from under the suspension cradle or suspension crossmember. Remove the discharge chute, chute mount rod, and mounting hardware and retain them. The discharge chute will need to be reinstalled for operation if the collection system is removed. Remove the deck guard. Save the bolts and washers, as they will be required later. Remove and retain the chute lock bolt and nut. Remove the hardware that secures the deflector plate to the mower deck and remove the plate. Save the deflector plate and hardware. When operating the unit without the collection system installed, a better cutting quality will be experienced if the deflector plate is reinstalled. On the STIHL RZ 752, it is necessary to remove the mower deck belt. This step does not apply to the STIHL RZ 760. To remove the mower deck belt, move the deck to its lowest cutting position. Remove the floor pan to gain access to the mower deck belts. Using a wrench, rotate the idler arm clockwise to relieve mower deck belt tension. If necessary, loosen the jam nut on the carriage bolt and the nut that secures the idler pulley to the mower deck. Remove only the right or shortest mower deck belt from the rear idler pulley and the spindle pulley on the discharge side of the unit. Carefully release the tension. The process to replace the spindle pulley on the STIHL RZ 752 and STIHL RZ 760 is slightly different. This video shows the STIHL RZ 752. To see the differences on the STIHL RZ 760, refer to the setup instructions. Remove the hex nut and spring washer securing the spindle pulley to the spindle shaft on the discharge side of the unit. Use a wrench on the flats of the blade end of the spindle shaft to prevent the shaft from spinning. Save the key. Install the supplied double spindle pulley, the existing key, and the supplied spacer onto the spindle shaft. Install the 3/4 inch SAE washer onto the spindle shaft. Install the existing spring washer with the cone facing up. Install the existing hex nut and tighten to 85 to 90 foot-pounds of torque. Use a wrench on the flats of the blade end of the spindle shaft to prevent the shaft from spinning. The mower deck belt removed in Chapter 3 must be reinstalled. This step is not necessary on the STIHL RZ 760. Align the mower deck belt with the V side of the belt in the grooves of the center spindle pulley and the front idler pulley. Rotate the idler arm clockwise to relieve mower deck belt tension. Install the mower deck belt on the lower groove of the double spindle pulley and the rear idler pulley. Make sure that the V side of the belt runs in the grooves of all 4 pulleys. Carefully release the tension. Measure the coil-to-coil length of the right belt tensioning spring. The measurement should equal 6 3/4 of an inch, plus or minus 1/8 of an inch. If not, turn the adjustment nut until the measurement is achieved. Tighten the jam nut and the nut that secures the rear idler pulley to the mower deck. Reinstall the floor pan. The process of installing the spindle pulley guard varies slightly between the STIHL RZ 752 and STIHL RZ 760. For specifics on the STIHL RZ 760, refer to the setup instructions. The lower spindle guard will be installed to the mower deck using the bolts and washers removed in Chapter 2. Install 2 body clips into the holes on top of the lower spindle guard if they are not installed already. Install the top plate to the lower spindle guard and secure with one of the 2 knobs. Retain the second knob for later. To access the spindle pulleys, pivot the top plate out of the way. Before installing the blower to the mower deck, remove the blower hood. Retain the 3 knobs. Use the quick pins to install the blower onto the mower deck of the STIHL RZ 752. The quick pins fit into the same holes that the chute rod was installed. The flat side of the belt must contact the flat side of the stationary idler pulley, and the V side of the belt must contact the V groove of the blower pulley and the adjustable idler pulley. Push on the adjustable idler pulley belt key to move the adjustable idler pulley towards the stationary idler pulley. Install the belt on the mower deck double pulley. Carefully release the tension. Measure the coil-to-coil spring length of the adjustable idler spring. The measurement should equal 6 1/2 inches. If the measurement is not correct, loosen the jam nut on the spring anchor eye bolt. Turn the adjustment nut until a coil-to-coil spring length measurement of 6 1/2 inches is achieved. Tighten the jam nut. This unit is equipped with 3 belt keeps to assist in maintaining the proper position of the blower drive belt. One is located near the blower pulley, the second is located in the stationary idler pulley, and the third on the adjustable idler pulley. If necessary, adjust the position of each belt keep as directed in the setup instructions. Rotate the top blade into place on the guard and secure it using the knob. Place the blower hood onto the blower and secure in place using the 3 knobs. Attach the catcher mount to the top rear bumper with 2 U-bolts and 4 nylock flange nuts, but do not tighten. For the STIHL RZ 752, install the U-bolts to the inner set of holes. For the STIHL RZ 760, install the U-bolts to the outer set of holes. Install 2 hex bolts and SAE washers through the catcher mount and the bottom rear bumper. Fasten with 2 nylock flange nuts. Tighten all hardware to 20 foot-pounds of torque. Install the inlet tube onto the back plate of the grass catcher frame with 4 bolts and nylock flange nuts. Tighten to 11 foot-pounds of torque. Punch out the proper holes in the back of the grass catcher frame. Install the mount posts onto the back plate of the grass catcher frame with 8 bolts and nylock flange nuts. Do not yet tighten. Install a plastic cap into the top of each mount post. Install the mount posts of the assembled grass catcher into the catcher mount. Install a hitch pin through each set of holes in the mount posts and catcher mount. Fasten each hitch pin with its hairpin clip. Tighten the mount post hardware to 20 foot-pounds of torque. For proper operation of this unit, the deflector plate installed on the grass catcher hood at the factory must be in the left justified position. If it is not, refer to the setup instructions. With the grass catcher hood raised, install the grass bags with the solid panel towards the front of the machine. Lower the grass catcher hood and push the lock pin through the hood lock plate. With the mower deck in its lowest position, install the discharge tube onto the blower and secure it with a removable clamp. At least 2 discharge tube bands must cover the outlet of the blower. Cut the discharge tube to the proper length so that it will fit between the blower and the grass catcher as shown. At least 2 bands of the discharge tube must cover the grass catcher inlet. Secure it with the stationary clamp. Install the weight mount onto the front of the unit and secure with the hardware. Tighten to 50 foot-pounds of torque. Install the counterweights in the mount and secure with the retaining pin and 2 hairpin clips. Be sure to reinstall the spark plug wires and remove the chocks from the front wheels before operation of the mower.